She looked at me and said, "This is my room, and there's only one bed." I just smiled and replied, "Maybe there's room for both of us." The moment she closed the door behind us, everything inside the room fell unearningly quiet, too quiet. Her hand lingered on the doorknob longer than necessary, as if sealing us inside some kind of confession neither of us planned to speak aloud. The dim hotel lights threw fractured shadows across the walls, splitting her face into two halves, one soft, one unreadable. Then she said it. "This is my room, and there's only one bed." Her voice didn't tremble. Mine shouldn't have either. But something in her tone carried a truth I wasn't prepared to confront, a truth I had felt circling me like a quiet predator for weeks. I turned toward her slowly, my heartbeat drumming softer than the hum of the air conditioner. She watched me the way someone watches a locked door they know is about to open from the wrong side, expecting danger but calling it inevitability. I gave her a small smile, controlled, calculated, almost bored. "Maybe," I said, "there's room for both of us." Her breath hitched, not from surprise, but recognition, because she knew what I knew. Tonight wasn't about attraction. It wasn't about temptation. This was the night the truth would finally stop hiding. She stepped closer. Her perfume, light, sweet, familiar, felt like a lie wrapped in silk. I could almost hear the words unsaid between us vibrating in the air like static. She wasn't afraid of me, but she should have been, because I hadn't come here for the reason she thought. I had come for the truth, and for revenge. It started with a laugh, not hers, his. A man's laugh echoing from her phone late at night, sharp enough to cut through my half-sleep and send me straight into cold awareness. At first I told myself it meant nothing. A coworker, a joke, a moment taken out of context. But the laugh had lingered too long, confident, intimate, like someone who knew he belonged inside her world. Then came the messages, half hidden, half deleted, not enough to accuse her, just enough to make something crack inside me. She became careful after that. Too careful. She started guarding her phone like it was a second heartbeat. She smiled differently, polished, practiced. Her hugs grew shorter, colder, and every time I asked, "Long day?" she replied with a smile so thin it looked fragile enough to tear. But the real shift came 2 weeks ago. A party, her company celebration, a room full of polished faces and fake laughter. And him, her so-called business partner. He shook my hand like he was testing the weakness in my grip. He spoke to me with the kind of smirk people wear when they think they own something that isn't theirs. When she walked past us, his eyes followed her a fraction too long. And she noticed. Oh, she noticed. Because she didn't stop it. She didn't correct it. She didn't look back at me. That night, lying beside her in the dark, feeling her breathing in a rhythm that no longer matched mine, I knew something had shifted permanently. Not broken yet, but bending, twisting. And so, I became quiet, observant, strategic. I didn't confront her. People reveal more when you let them think they're safe. She began slipping more. Small lies, late nights, a sudden obsession with privacy. And the same laugh, his laugh, leaking from behind the locked bathroom door while she whispered into her phone. I felt something cold settle inside me. Not anger, not jealousy, something deeper. A quiet decision. Tonight, in this hotel room she insisted we needed to stay in after a company event, I would finally see the truth without her filters, excuses, or carefully curated smiles. And she knew it. I didn't follow her into this room blindly. By the time she closed the door, I already had the results. The DNA test, the phone logs, the financial records, and the hotel reservations. Her name and his used too many times to be coincidence. But I kept everything hidden under the silence she mistook for trust. While she played her game, I played mine. I memorized her routine, her lies, her tells. There was a moment, 2 days ago, when she walked past me with her phone in her hand, thinking I wasn't paying attention. A message popped up on the screen for half a second. Room booked. Same place, same time. And her smile, God, the kind of smile a person gives when they think they've outsmarted everyone, including me. I let her believe it, because I needed her to. And yet, as I watched her now, pretending to adjust the pillows on the single bed, acting nervous in a way that didn't match her usual composure, I realized something else simmered behind her eyes. Fear. She wasn't expecting tonight to go the way it was going. Not with me here. Not with the silence pressing down on her like a weight. She had invited me, after all. Hoped to reconnect, she said. To talk. To clear tension. Maybe she expected a drunk moment, a vulnerable confession, a slip she could blame on emotion. But I hadn't touched a drop tonight. Clear mind, clear intentions. Her phone buzzed on the table. She didn't move to pick it up. I noticed the name on the screen anyway. His name. Careless. She was never careless. Her fingers twitched. And still, I said nothing. I simply sat on the edge of the bed, watching her with the quiet patience of a man who had already seen the ending. She opened her mouth once, maybe to lie, maybe to justify, but no words came out. Only silence. And that silence told me everything I needed. The truth wasn't coming from her lips. It was already in my pocket. And soon, it would be in her hands. She finally spoke. Not with confidence, not with softness, with caution. "Why are you looking at me like that?" I didn't answer. I simply reached into my jacket and pulled out the envelope. Thick, heavy, filled with the kind of truth that couldn't be spun into a story or buried under excuses. Her eyes widened, just slightly, but enough. "What's that?" she whispered. I handed it to her without a word. She opened it slowly. First the phone logs, her messages, his messages, their calls at midnight, their bookings. Then the DNA result. Her breath froze. Her face drained. The room seemed to shrink around us. You looked at my phone?" she whispered, voice cracking at the edges. "No," I replied calmly. "You left everything in the cloud. You just forgot I knew the password." She sat down on the bed, legs almost giving out beneath her. For a second she looked smaller, crushed beneath the weight of her own actions. "I can explain—" "Don't." My voice came out colder than I expected, controlled, even. She swallowed hard, staring at the papers that exposed months of deception she thought she had hidden so perfectly. "I didn't want to hurt you," she whispered. "But you did." I leaned back against the wall. "And you kept doing it." She looked at me then, really looked. And in her eyes, I saw the moment she understood that this wasn't a confrontation. This was a verdict. Not shouted, not emotional, silent, absolute. "You already knew," she murmured, almost to herself. "Long before tonight." Her lips trembled. Then, "Why did you come here?" I let the question hang between us, heavy and sharp. Finally, I spoke. "To watch you face the truth in the exact room you planned to lie in." Her breath shuddered, and for the first time in months, she had nothing left to hide behind.
How could you do this?